Hi, lovelies. Lisi here, and I thought I'd take you on a quick tour of my sacred space. This was a requested video, and well, it's really my pleasure to show you around. So this is actually a little room that was in the eaves of our house. It's sort of like an attic space, although it's not really the attic. And we moved in. I drywalled part of that little crawl space to create a sitting area. So this is my main altar with an amethyst, and actually that's Amida Butsu, the Buddha that's kind of venerated most in the Pure Land school. I'm a Zen Buddhist, but I just really gravitated toward this image, and here he is. And photographs of my parents are both passed away, and some different images, and where I keep incense and various documents and sort of ashes, some ashes from my mother and from companion animals that have passed away. And this is Kuan Yin. So this image of Kuan Yin, the central statue, actually belonged to, I think my grandfather brought it back from Japan, probably in like the 40s or 50s, and my mother had it, and she's gorgeous. She's, a little damaged, but so beautiful. And that's an image of Prajnaparamita, of the perfection of wisdom, Bodhisattva, I guess. So this is really my tarot altar, and I keep decks in that little cabinet. All of the furniture in this room is stuff that I've found in Goodwills and garage sales, and so it's just a hodgepodge of stuff. That quilt was made for me by a student who studied mindfulness with me. And then I have a little meditation bench, and of course a blankie, because a gal gets cold. This is my main sitting area. And this bowl was given to me by a really dear friend. It has a really amazing tone to it. Tibetan singing bowl. Beautiful Eugene, Oregon. So this is my study table, and on it there's a bunch of decks that I'm kind of thinking of. Oops, sorry, that's my thumb. Thinking of these days, and that's the Angel Tarot, a vintage Tarot de Marseille and Peinture du Monde, Hidden Realm, and a little spread from the Hidden Realm with a little green kyanite. That's actually the water card from the Peinture du Monde. I've got to do a review of the Peinture du Monde. It's really wonderful. My Tarot Classic is in that little card. A recent edition. I got to do a Tarot de Marseille video. This Jean Noblet tarot is unbefreaking-leavable. And then also I want to do a little review of the Invisible Light Tarot, which I've been enjoying. And been getting into the Tote Tarot. And these are some decks that I'm not working on now, but I'm thinking about. So 2 of my Wild Unknown decks. That's another Tote Tarot, and then 2 Robert and Place decks. Yeah, and it's funny what ends up on your altar. So, the decks that are on the altar, they've just kind of been there forever. So in the red leather is the Albano Wade, and then the green knit is my Anna Kay, and then Dame Darcy, and the gold underneath that there's a blue, that's Druidcraft. In the box is a Rider Waite vintage. In the black is the mass market Wild Unknown Tarot of the She. So it's just, these are like the guys that get to hang out. It's like they just, I don't know why. These aren't decks that I use every day, but they're somehow decks that just get to be there for whatever reason. 2 more altars. So this is another Kuan Yin. My husband, who's a book dealer and finds out of print, hard to find books, he was at a book fair, and the booth next to him was selling antique like artifacts from China. So I don't think this is pure silver. It wasn't that expensive. I think it was like $250 when Ezra, my husband, bargained with the guy. But oh my God, she's got so much. I mean, just look at this detail. I love her. She's beautiful. And then this Kuan Yin, this is an ivory Kuan Yin that was also something that my grandfather brought back from Japan, probably in the 50s, and my mother had, and she passed away. Brought it into my home. So I have water offerings on all of my altars. That's for incense. I'm only burning incense right now. Oh, I'm not burning any incense right now. I got the lights burning. This is sort of cool. The water offering on this altar, the tarot altar, is in this little rose quartz bowl. So. And then my last altar. So this guy is supposedly an antique from, I think from Myanmar. I'm trying to remember, no, Thailand, a Buddha, but he's a fake antique. So I love him anyway, but he's not. He's a bootleg antique. And his hand, so he's doing this gesture that the Buddha did in response to Mara, the tempter, the, what do you call it, the devil figure, saying, to the Buddha as the Buddha was sitting down to awaken, and Mara said, trying to tempt him off his Buddha seat, Mara said, "Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to be enlightened?" And the Buddha touched the ground and said, I call on the witness of this earth. Awakening is about our connection to all things. It's not who I am above and beyond all things. It's the fact that I am part of this great, beautiful earth. And this earth awakens with me. So one thing you'll notice, there are flowers on all the altars, but they're not real. Because I'm a lazy Buddhist. So I have these really, pretty, like from Michael's, fake flowers. My Zen teacher would laugh at me if he could see these fake flowers. Okay, so that's the Buddha. And then here are also, these are vintage antique chests, not in great shape, but I love them. And so in this chest is the bulk of my tarot collection in sort of plastic bins. There's that Gaia that I won in that wonderful raffle from the Northwest Tarot Symposium. And these are decks, they're not the decks that I'm necessarily actively studying right now, but they're sort of in heavy rotation, decks that I'm wanting to get to know. So I haven't yet unwrapped my Navigator's Tarot of the Mystic Sea. It's a vintage copy, but it's in shrink wrap. And I'm sort of waiting. I want to get a copy of the book. My Crystal Tarot, which I haven't really explored much. My new Robledo Tarot de Marseille, which is beautiful, but it's not as beautiful as I thought it was going to be. And that's the John Waterhouse Oracle, Kitty Kahane and Nigel Jackson. The medieval Scapini is under that. What is that? It's not a piece of citrine. I can't remember what that stone is. And under the lapis is my Dodal Marseille, and then some other Marseille decks, the Cote de Tarocchi, the Piatnik, wonderful facsimile, the small size of the Visconti Sforza. And then, oh my God, this book is so amazing. This is a collection of Hieronymus Bosch's art, and it's just, first of all, the color plates are out of this world, but the discussion of the history and the art imagery, oh my God, unbelievable. So, yeah, this has to, I don't have the Bosch Tarot, if anyone owns that, and I'd love to hear what you think of it, but Bosch, I mean, man, the guy was a genius, let's face it. And these are some books that I'm not necessarily diving into all of them at once, but, sort of thinking my work on the totes, sort of gearing up, sort of interest in these vintage, sort of 1970s era explorations of tarot. So this was an early book that used the Aquarian Tarot to talk about psychology and tarot. You all know this book. And this is I think 1981. So it was a symposium. Oh no, so 1988. Sorry. So, this was a very important moment. You know, here are some of the great names in the tarot renaissance. And again, sort of thinking about how tarot and self-actualization goes together. Michael Dummett, I know that for some folks, his work on tarot is disheartening. For me, you know, he's a genius. He's actually a genius philosopher. His work is hard for me to read, but I'm really interested in the connection between what he has to say about language and meaning in the realm of philosophy, and why he was so interested in knocking down the pretense of an esoteric tarot. Anyway, so that's a really wonderful book, the first volume of his work, his collaborative work on the history of tarot. And then, you know, I'm sort of diving into, you know, various decks here. This is another important book. I'm trying to remember. I'm going to say 1985. Oh, no. Boy, I'm totally off. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I haven't read this book yet. So this book has a whole bunch of taped tarot card readings transcribed into it. And again, it is trying to think through, and it's using the Aquarian Tarot, trying to think through the use of tarot in self-actualization. And then this is the second volume of basically the second volume of history that A Wicked Pack of Cards details. And this book is a cultural history of tarot. Helen Farley, so she tries to navigate the distance between people who are talking about esoteric tarot and the sort of, you know, Michael Dummett historian's version of tarot. And then this is a book that many of you are familiar with. So, you know, Ronald Decker, archivist for the Playing Cards Association? No, that's not the name of the organization. I'll link to it below. But he wrote with Michael Dummett, but again, is someone who is like Helen Farley's book, trying to navigate the distance between an esoteric notion of the tarot and a more secular historical read. Okay, this is me and Buddha and Kuan Yin and Prajnaparamita and a whole bunch of tarot. All right, guys. Love you. Bye.